Good evening. A warm welcome to everyone. So, how many of you have heard from couples that, we stay together for the sake of our children, or, or people saying that, we don't fight in front of children, but somehow, the cold vibes between couples, the underlying tension, the Cold War, it gets translated into the behavior, into the personality of a child who's observing, who's absorbing, and who's getting to know that there is something which is not right in my family. So good evening and a warm welcome to each one of you who's present now, and also to the ones who will be watching us later on YouTube. My name is Divya Shah, and Radio Diva is a little initiative which has grown big. We started as a platform to vent out our emotions during the first lockdown, but it has gradually become into a platform where experts from a variety of fields, they join us, especially from the mental health area, and they join us and they share their experiences with us, their life lessons, their wisdom with us, and help us be a better version of us. You know, so please be part of our community. I'll request each one of you to be part of our happy go lucky community. It's growing and it's getting stronger. Follow us on Facebook and Insta by the name of Radio Diva, and subscribe to the YouTube channel by the same name. So a warm welcome to all of you. And our today's speaker have had great experience. She has worked with a number of schools. She has done her college and schooling in Assam, and then she went to Bangalore for her higher studies. And yes, she has been a counselor in many schools and have had great experience, of interacting with all age group of children. So I think that has, one is studying about it and one is interacting with children. And trust me, when you are in the field and when you interact with children, the experiences that you get is much more, much more enriching, and then you really understand the depth of it, because one is theory and one is practical, right? So without much delay, let's go to Jahnabi. Jahnabi, thank you so much for doing this important session with us, and a warm welcome to the Radio Diva family, Jahnabi.
Thank you so much, Divya, for having me. First of all, it's my pleasure, and I'm grateful that I could be a part of this session, and I love doing this session because interacting with different people from the field, like I'm working here, and then there are people working in some other states, so you get to know the cultural difference, the dynamics, the difference in the schools, the environmental patterns, right? And yeah, so thank you for having me, and I hope and I know also that here we could get some more insights from everyone. So I'm looking forward to more like discussing on this particular topic. So yeah, so as the topic says that the family dynamics and how it has an impact, or what is the level of impact on the self-esteem of children and adolescent as well. So like you said, like Divya have already said that I am working, or I have had work with different schools. Uh, so, but even though I'm working with different schools, but there are few things that are very similar, few things that are very common in all the schools. Although there is different environment, that we see in different schools, but few things are very similar when we talk about teenagers, when we talk about children and adolescents, and they coming forward with their issues. So, like Divya mentioned, like one term, like absorb and observe. So I believe that there are different age group of students or children that I see, and practical experience give you a very different insight or a very different knowledge, which I personally have never found in any of the books. There are a few things definitely I could relate, but then there are a few things that coming up, and especially after COVID, it's very there's a change in the scenario. So it's like a drastic change, and you are trying to. I personally struggle to figure out that where is this gap coming from. So firstly, like I said, Divya said, absorb and observe. So yeah, family, like a couple, like Divya also mentioned in the beginning initially, that how they behave, or how they talk about things in front of kids or in front of people, uh, saying using specific words. So children, especially from the age group of say 6 to 7, 8, 9, they try to, or even below that, they try to observe and they then like try to copy those things. Either they'll try to, model that particular behavior or use that particular words or try to copy those few things, because children and they try to observe and then copy. It's like a role play, or it's like copying the particular behavior. So, like we had the Bobo doll experiment we read about. So, if you're watching a movie and violence is being shown, then you try to copy that particular thing and then you show, like in the particular, in your behavior, it's manifested in that way. But when we talk about teenagers, when we talk about adolescents, they try to absorb those things, like they try to take in, and somehow their self-esteem, somehow mentally they get affected, uh, which leads to different kind of issues, which leads to lack of self-esteem, uh, not having enough of self-confidence, then have this constant anxiety. Okay, and then stress, they go through stress because again they have this academic thing going on. So these are actually the common things that I have seen. And students, like the adolescent group, say for example, from the age group of 11 or 12 to 18 to 17 years of, like who are 17 years of age, they come and they tell me that certain things, even though a couple is fighting, okay, and then out of anger we don't have any control, so we use these things like divorce or this or separation. So I have, when we talk about divorce, I have had these things, or I have had these experiences where a child, where a student have come and then they said that no, my parents are talking about divorce, and I'm very, this is something that I never expected, this that. So now we don't know, the word divorce is used in just like out of anger, or is it like, is it like actually true, or is it like they are planning for it? But for the child it will be like, okay, they have talked about divorce, that means something big. But from a couple's point of view, if we see, like they fight and then they talk about divorce, in relationship, like a boyfriend and girlfriend, they fight and then they talk about breakup. So it's like for like couples, the divorce has, like for a husband and wife, the word divorce has become in that, like they take it in that way. But the impact the child or the teenage or the adolescent, have on their mind, it's quite different. It affects them mentally because they feel that they do not have a good self-esteem, and certain things, both of their parents, when you talk about self-esteem, sometimes a mother and a father, if they don't have a good self-esteem, or if they don't have emotional control, or emotionally they are unstable, or they have issues themselves, then it gets linked to their, somehow they kind of portray to their children, and that's how you learn that thing. Because as we say, the family is our first, school, or we learn the basics. So if we see that those things have not come up, or we don't see those things in our family, like expectations, in terms of how you treat your child, do you understand or do you dismiss it? So if you have grown up from that point of view, or if you have the same child, then you try to uh, like copy paste the same things, or try to grow them, or try to rear them in the same manner. So that's how you try to transfer, like it's like, if you had trauma, so the trauma will pass on and on, so it's like generational trauma. So if you have these things, like you have had such kind of childhood, you tend to also transfer it to your children. So it's like that, because self-esteem, self-confidence comes, it gets shaken. It's there, but then it gets too intense, or like it gets affected more when the family is also like, the dynamics are not good, or it's affected. Like your mother doesn't understand you, your father doesn't understand you, interference of the relatives. So they try to compare. So it's like too much of expectations, not understanding. The communication gap is what I feel many of the students come up with, because now the teenagers, or now the adolescents know much more than we used to know at when we were their age. So it's like they talk about some terms, they talk about something which I feel that okay, I never used to, or if I were her age or his age, then I would never have had thought about it. But then they are too much because things have come up, the sources are more, they learn quickly, they know much more things than we used to know. So they are very knowledgeable. So when such things come up, they know that okay, this is this coming up. Because earlier what it was like, okay, these are these things, so you have to follow. So now since they know too much, so it is like even though there is no communication or communication gap, it tends to affect them like fast because they know that this thing is important. And when their self-esteem get affected, then also they are able to, the awareness is there among them. So uh, lack of self-esteem I have seen that makes them like the parents compare them with with other students. They have unrealistic expectations, they neglect their needs, they neglect uh, like they neglect what the child wants or what the adolescent wants. It's like since it's an adolescent stage, so there is that that stress and strain is there. Like they become a bit rebellious and something, but the stability is not there. So uh, parents are in the point of view that they'll fight, they argue, so like they try to dismiss it, thinking that they are not disciplined enough or they are not well trained enough, they don't know how to talk to parents, this and that. But nowadays it's like you have to have that understanding. It's not how it was few years back. So now things have changed, and it's very important for every parent to sit and make the child understand that why you are asking him or her to do. Say for example, if you are not you don't want your child to go out late or to come home at a particular time, so you need to tell him or her that why behind that particular restriction. So if you make them understand, then it's very easy for them to like take it. They'll not get rebellious, and the understanding and the communication should be there is what I feel.
So
So
basically, what you are saying ki we can't be ordering our child the way we were ordered around by our
right,
parents. We
yeah,
need to, anything that we tell them, it has to be backed by the logic behind it. I
exactly.
get you.
Because I will give you like one example, like when we were talking about the topic of divorce, no? So I said that absorb. So there was this girl who was coming to me who was going through a lot of panic attacks. Okay, she had this anxiety attacks. So and then
How old is that girl? How old was she?
she's of class. She's still coming to me actually. So she's a class 9. So I think she'll be around 15.
15.
Yeah, 15 to 16. So yeah. So she had this panic attack, and then gradually she started having anxiety attacks, like shortness of breath, and shivering and not knowing what to do. So the thing was that her parents used to fight. She has a little brother actually, who studies in the same school. So and he's quite very young. So her parents fight. Like her dad drinks sometimes and then comes home, and her parents are not in a good state of communication. It's like her father never comes home. Never comes home as in like she doesn't get to speak to her dad because he comes home late. He gets occupied with work. He comes home late, and her mother also, she is there, but then she also doesn't get the time or doesn't probably we can say that maybe because of that ego thing, or I don't know, there she also doesn't make the effort to talk to him. So if it is that, I can understand, because if it is that her father is going through some kind of issues or some kind of problems which he might not want to share, and that's totally fine, which I understand. But if her mother also is like that, she doesn't want to give the effort to, because he does that frequently because of his behavior, she also has lost hope and probably doesn't want to put her effort in. So even on Sundays also, I asked her, because Sunday is the only day where we don't have any work. So then also, don't you think that your mom and dad can say, because Sundays are off and the family gets together, so at least the mom and dad can sit and talk. So she said that yeah, that day is also like doing the household chores, and like there's no time, and they also don't give the effort to talk and understand and communicate. So they have these frequent fights during the weekdays, I assume, and then the divorce topic comes up. So that thing affects her. and that thing affects her more because she is concerned about her younger brother more, because she is like absorbing everything, but then she is more concerned that what will happen to him. So that is the thing, because we don't know what is the intensity, or we don't know like in what context are they using the word divorce, or are they trying to um come to a conclusion whether they are, whether they are not. Is it like something out of rage, or so we don't know. So the reality we don't know. So it's like it's affecting her. So she is like, what if it happens? What if what will happen to my brother? So that anxiety is built on. She's absorbing, and then there is also this comparison where she has to go through. Like she lives in a joint family, and then her family members, her mother and probably her grandmother also compares her to relatives, like bringing this marks and then bringing this marks. So it's like if she is satisfied with her marks, she's satisfied with how she has performed, but then others are not satisfied. So it's again a way of comparison. It's again a way of trying to, like, you want to feel good, so you are trying to impose it some kind of satisfaction into your child so that you can get that. So you are thinking about your own image. So it's like that.
So now, now that we have identified the problem, I think all of us have understood that, how a child gets affected by those, by the friction between parents, those cold wars, though, those, talking of divorce very loosely. I think using the term divorce very loosely,
Yeah.
and, no communication between parents, not a happy, healthy family, how it affects the morale of the child, the self-esteem, confidence, everything goes for a toss for a child. Now that, we have identified, of course, and of course, the interference of relatives also. Now that we have identified the problem, let's talk solutions. So, what all do you think, uh, say, for example, I won't say the entire onus lies on mother, but yes, let's start with, how couples can resolve their issues, and even if their issues doesn't get resolved, how they can, help their child and make their future secure.
Yeah. Okay, Vibhi Kataria, she's actually made a statement. So it's like he says that the way parents project their own unfulfilled expectations on their children, their own insecurities and unachieved dreams on them, adds on to extra
Yes.
burden on them. Yeah, right. Because again, I remember of another student coming, and then her mother is actually doing a government job, and then she is more into like this forensic thing. Okay. So forensic something. So there are many, like today there are many like career options, if we say that, opening up. So she is more into that. But then her mother is like not very fond and not giving acceptance or agreeing to that. So she wants her to stay here in Assam or not even go out of Assam. So that is again her, because it's like if you are in this profession, so you also want ki like my son or daughter or someone should also be in this. But the thing is like her interest, her what are the thing that she wants to do, her experience, because she's very fond of it and she's done all the research. So so then I told her that, see, these things, because I cannot talk I cannot take either of their sides. So I have told her that maybe your mother is saying because of your safety or whatever, because she has no idea what this profession or what this career option is. Probably if you are sure, because sometimes these kids, they do a research and then out of this trend, so they say that, okay, I want to do this, that. So I ask them, are you sure? Do a background. I tell them to do a full-fledged, R&D, and then come to me and then like, tell me that what are your plans, whether you want to stay here or go out. So it depends upon which state you are, which country you are, and how much these professions are working there, or how famous are there, or like these professions are in the particular country. So once they do that, I ask them to communicate, not just putting ki ha, no, I want to do this. Communicate this thing, explain to them what this thing is and what are you looking forward to, what are the pros and what are the cons, and then make her understand, and then come at a decision. So that's how I tried telling her,
Yeah,
and then
that's
she's
also, Minakshi has asked, how can this kind of clash be sorted when the parents don't have the same parenting style, or rather when the father tends to override any disciplining the mother is trying to do? Okay, so this is also very true when when families don't work as a team. And
Right.
this is
Yeah.
something, okay, a mother or father trying to teach something, and the
Hmm.
child and the other couple trying to take the different direction, keep trying to get those cookie points with their brownie
Hmm.
points with their child ki, okay, I'm with you, don't worry. But the fact is that ki, then they are not coming as a unit together. And when parents are not one unit, then
Hmm.
child they know that whom to go for what. And they
Hmm.
also try to be over smart, and they also try to do things which they should not. And they know that
Right.
there is somebody to save them basically. So how do
Hmm.
we tackle that, Janavi? And
Yeah. So right. Like as I told you, so there are things when it comes to this like different parenting style, and say for example, the mother being trying to discipline the child, and then the father is trying to uh, being a like she has also said override of being a barrier to it, or trying to make it more. So I feel that too much of everything is of course it's not good. If you try to over discipline also, it's not good at times. And if you try to make it more lenient parenting also, that is also sometimes at times not good. So as parents, because this thing before going for the child, or before when we're talking about children, so before that the parents need to decide, or have an understanding, have a communication, that these are the things which are basic and which are important for in terms of discipline to teach the child. Whereas also not like there are some parents where the father and the mother are both overprotective, over strict, not allowing them to go anywhere, or not giving them any kind of uh, leniency or freedom in terms of everything. So that also, if we try to discipline more, it kind of affects the child in terms of self-esteem, because when the child is not going anywhere, not doing the things like a normal teenager does, then also he doesn't have the knowledge. Okay, and that will end up him making in school, like everybody will like make fun of him or her, tease them that this, you don't know this, because in teenagers these things are there. This my teasing is a, let's not name it bullying, but these teasing, uh, like we can say that these cold bullying, or not bullying also, these things are there. So you don't know which things affects how. So overprotective and being over disciplined also has its own consequences. Whereas if you are not trying to maintain the discipline, like I said that uh, you know after COVID, there has been a lot of behavior change in like in the children. When it comes to classroom behavior, they have lost how to respect teachers. Okay, what to say, what not to say, that maintain a boundary. Because when I go and teach in one school, I thought that okay, this school's children are so like disrespectful. They don't have any discipline. They don't have any manners. But when I went to other different schools, I found the same thing. So and everybody has been saying that after COVID, these things have happened. So, learning through screens, maintaining this, not having the physical touch, or, that particular thing which we get when we are doing offline class, have made them lose the discipline or the behavior. So that is again, if you have not taught the children, parents have not done it, even though you were having online classes or from earlier also, then again, too much of leniency also becomes, non-authoritative parenting also becomes, have their own consequences, where you tend to have issues in classrooms. So I feel that we should always balance it, try to take the basic, and then it should be like okay, two things from to teach them out of discipline, and then also maintain a friendly way, or lenient way, where they can come and share all their problems or anything if they face. So yeah.
I totally agree with what Janabi said. Ki, a balance of both is required. I also, agree with the point that you mentioned that, I mean, this is what I follow. That what we discuss amongst ourselves. Ki, okay, this is not right, which is going on. Before doing it in front of the child, discuss the consequences with your, with your spouse. that
Yeah.
if we are lenient like this, the child will know that माँ के सामने पापा का मजाक उड़ाना है, पापा के सामने मम्मा का
Hmm.
उड़ाना है.
Hmm.
We want them to value us equally. So we maybe we will have to the respect they it's always walk the talk. So the respect they show to each other, it will boil down to the child showing it to the parents. Now
Right.
coming to the discipline part, see, once the child grows, a discipline is required. You can't be watching TV non-stop. You can't be, doing discipline, even like we give leniency on weekends, but it can't be like okay, the child is every day getting late for school or all those things. There has to be
Yeah.
discipline at place, because that will help them grow. Once they grow, they will follow. That will help them in their life. So I feel disciplining a child once the child is a bit grown up is important. But how it should be done, it should be a teamwork. And definitely in cases where the husband is or the wife is not cooperating, it's very important that the communication between the spouse gets better. They have a
So
proper
yeah.
discussion on this, and then they understand that yes, this is where we are going wrong as couple. Let's correct it together, and let's make an informed decision that if I am strict, okay, now I have been always strict and now they don't listen to me, so why don't you become strict and let me be lenient for some days so that they don't get bitter towards me. So it's
Yeah.
like changing roles and trying to balance it out. I think that will really help. What do you think, Jahnabi?
Yeah, that because I have had a again it reminds me of one incident where the this student was from I think class um, pre-primary. So primary or let's say pre-primary, say class 1, 2 or 3. So he came with some behavior issue, and then his parents were called, and then they came for the counseling or talk to me. So here both the father and the mother and the child was present, and both of them were talking. So uh, we could see, like I could personally see that the father was not letting the mother talk. The moment like she opened her mouth or she was trying to say something, like the father interrupted her or tried to say few things. Then we were talking about, probably I remember, that if he fears somebody or not, or if he listens to somebody or not. Then the father made this comment that no, he listens to me, or he is good with me, he does this with me. So then definitely I didn't say in that particular session, but then this was there that he was saying all about himself, and what about the mother? Because in front of the child only he was not doing the same thing. So here what happens, sometimes matlab, parents, or we as elders, we tell something but we don't practice what we preach, that we say. So we tell that okay, this is this, like for example, we say a teenager or an adolescent that don't use the mobile while eating, but sometimes we only tend to do that. So few things are there where the teenager or the student will only ask ki papa aap to mujhe bol rahe the, you only did that. So it's like that. So if you're expecting that, so you also make it a point that you don't show that behavior towards your wife or towards your husband. And
So
I feel that if you want to teach something to your child, or if you want that in particular direction for your child to go, that you should be doing it in the early age. Because why? Like if you are teaching them something, they learn, they'll copy, and then it will be too late if you try to build those things when they are grown up, because then they'll understand too many things. The environmental factors will be there,
see,
social
again, in
factors.
that case, also, if any of your, whoever is listening, if any, what Janabi said is totally true, that the earlier you start, the better. So, Vidhi,
Yes.
you had raised your hand. You wanted to say something. I'm so sorry. I mean,
Yeah,
me.
I think she raised. No, I
Yes,
also
Vidhi,
can.
you want to say something, Vidhi? Please go ahead.
Um, I think those couple of messages that you read, and also the conversation that we're having, about I'm really liking it. I could really relate, with my own childhood, and how I was parented through it, and I also like this, that you have to kind of accept your faults also. Like if you're wrong, so having that honest conversations. Otherwise, what happens is that children children feel, because it's tough to be a child, right? It's very tough to be a child. There's so much going on, I mean, regarding their body, the peer pressure and study ka pressure, and and it's like you are, neither a child, you are responsible, but you neither an adult, you have to listen to what adults say. So it's very confusing. And it's very good that you mentioned that it's nothing wrong if you accept faults also, because children realize that, okay, these people also, my parents are also not perfect. So what they feel inside already, that I am imperfect, gets related in a way, because otherwise they think, oh my god, people are perfect, and is there something wrong with me that I am not perfect? So it's very, I really like that you mentioned that there's nothing wrong in having that honest conversations about, that okay, I was wrong, but let's do it like this now. And one thing I want to, just add on, because I'm also from psychology background. I've been, in this field since 10 years. And this thing that about, so the way that children communicate, because they're still lacking in those verbal, means. It's one way that they communicate is they will make you feel how they feel. Sometimes parents come, my children makes me feel so hungry, makes me feel so powerless. So, children are actually feeling angry and powerless themselves too, but they don't have the means to communicate in verbal way. So they will make you feel like this, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for parents to realize if their children is making them feel, in such negative manner, just imagine how a child is feeling. They're also feeling the same way. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to add this on, and it's amazing to be part of this discussion. Thank you for setting up this platform for us.
Thank you so much, Vidhi. That was really, insightful. And yeah, I mean, all experiences shared, it's so amazing because, we all relate to it. And we all have grown up when our parents, were not conscious about the effects that we have had. And now, as a generation, I think we are bringing our child much more informed. So why not, benefit from each other's experiences and be better parents? See, parenting is a work in progress. Trust me, I'm trying to be, like, say, my expectation from my child is, no matter she doesn't have, a career, I'm okay with that also. But my expectation is she is healthy, she is happy, and she is humble. So she knows that the 3H is what my mother wants. I always put it, the 3H. So she knows I want her to be happy, healthy, and humble. Rest, I'm sure it will be taken care of. It's her own, the fire in her belly. Whenever it has to, she wants to be someone, she will be. But that's not me putting my dream on her. I make it a point that I don't want to put, the weight of my dreams on her. Let it be her dream. So someday she wants to be a dancer, someday a pilot, someday something. But I'm trying to do everything, informed. And thanks to Radio Diva, of course, I'm a better human being. But again, a work in progress. But I'm sure once my child grows up, she will also have complaints with me, because we had our set of complaints. So just keep doing, keep learning things from each other, and that's how we grow. Anything else, Jahnabi, that you want to add?
No, actually, the things that you also shared is kind of, a new thing, or not a new thing, but yeah, I also kind of, clicked. Even what Bibi said that, like children, how they feel, they try to make their parents feel the same. And I think, like you said, that, being honest. So as parents, upcoming parents, like you said, it's a journey. So we cannot blame our parents, because at that time, that point of time, that knowledge, the awareness was not there. But since it has been coming, and these effects are more now, as in when the, the generations have passed. So accepting, so it should be like parenting should be, even you are saying something to your child, you should also participate in it. It should be like a game. Like, like if you're telling something, so you should also be participating, and then you should also like ask them how they are feeling, or is it right, or is it good, ask for their opinions, and they'll feel like, okay, I have this control, I have the like I have the
Part
option.
of the decision making.
Yeah,
Basically,
part of the
I am
decision making.
valued. Basically, I am
True.
valued.
Yeah. And like you said, these parenting styles have changed, because nowadays if we see on Instagram, because I personally see on Instagram, these parents share these videos where they're trying to talk, trying to narrate something to their child, trying to teach them values like gratitude, being grateful to each and everything, because earlier these things were not. So, and also as parents, I think that uh, as in when the couples, when they become parents, they should try to also become children and learn from their children. So that's what I feel. They should also be flexible, not rigid that, okay, being parents, we know everything and no, there's nothing that you can teach us. So they should also be ready to become child or become a children and then learn from, because there are many things that have come up, new things have been coming up. So you should be at least ready to listen to what they're explaining, or at least know what they have done. So it gives them that satisfaction, or that confidence, okay, that you are also trying to listen to me, it's not one way. So it's like two-way communication. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a beautiful thing that you said, Jahnabi, people. And I'm so glad, Jahnabi. I think and despite being, not that old in counseling profession, but you are doing it with so much of honesty that you are observing so well, and you know which are the patterns which is affecting children, and you're a very involved counselor. So, I'm doing Radio Diva for past more than 2 years, and I have seen all kind of counselors who talk, all kind of counselors, and I somehow feel that you are very much dedicated, and I'm
Thank you
so
so much.
happy.
That
And
means so much to me.
I'm,
Coming from me. Yeah.
I'm very happy and privileged to have you, Jahnabi, and I'm sure you will do wonders in your life and you will touch many lives. That's
Thank
more
you. Thank you.
important.
Just I want your best wishes. Yeah. That's all.
Yes, and thank you to each one of you. Any of you want to share anything, please unmute and you can share. And yes, all of you who will watch us later on YouTube, a big thank you. Please subscribe to our channel, because we are honest about what we are bringing. All our speakers are real, and they speak from their experiences, and I think what we are doing is beautiful. So I really need your support to grow as a community, so that we can reach out to people who are looking for answers. We have the answers, the all the people who are hearing right now, but there are people who are struggling, how to bring up their children, and if they get these answers, they will be much better equipped to handle their family life and their children. So thank you so much, each one of you. And yeah, a happy go lucky day and evening to each one of you, and good night. And thank you, Jahnavi.
Thank you so much, Divya, for having me, and thank you to all of you who have participated and shared the experiences. It was nice. Hope to be in touch. It was really nice talking to Divya and being a part of this. So yeah, hope to be in touch.
Happy to have you, Jahnavi.